Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the DDP webinar. Thanks for taking time to join Digistore and DDP this morning. My name is Matt Wood, and I'm one of the sales guys at Digistore. I've included all of my contact details on the slide here, and I would welcome any questions at any time regarding pricing, quotes, configurations, or anything else. I've also included our Facebook and Twitter account details. Following Digistore is a great way to keep up to date with events, specials, technology developments, and more. So be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. All attendee microphones are muted to avoid background noise. So if you have questions, please type them in the questions window and we'll see if we can answer them during the presentation. They will be logged, so we will make sure we respond to each and every question, even if it is after the event. The webinar is being recorded, so if all goes to plan, we'll send you a YouTube link in a follow-up email so you can watch the presentation at your convenience. For those that are not familiar with Digistore, our company is a leading solutions supplier across a range of digital production areas. This slide shows some of the areas we address, so talk to us about any requirements you may have. We supply integrated solutions incorporating the world's leading brands and work closely with manufacturers to ensure optimal results. We worked with mixed PC and Mac environments across Autodesk, Avid, Adobe, Apple platforms, in your office or across the world. So a question that you might ask, why Digistore? We have sales and technical support staff in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. We have created Digistore customer assurance plans. We call these DCAPs, ensuring priority access to the support team via phone and email. These also include unlimited support via VPN. We do regular scheduled health checks and extended business hours support from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday. We also have classroom-style training, as well as the ability to send trainers on site. Before I hand over to Elvin from DDP, I wanted to talk about a special that we're currently running. So it requires knowledge and time to make important decisions. So we'll be doing demonstrations at our facility in Artarmon, so you can experience the benefits of DDP hands-on. Once seen, you will instantly understand the power of collaborating with others and the DDP advantage. We will do a free workflow consultation and produce a document outlining your requirements and a proposed solution, including system diagram. Further, DDP will throw in Workflow Manager, which Elvin will explain in more detail, and that's to the value of $3,245. Be sure to talk to us further about this after the event. We'd very much like you to come in and see the product in more detail. So now I'm going to hand over to Elvin. He is based in Japan, so just bear with us while we transfer the screen over. It won't be a second.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Elvin, and I'm very happy to be here with you today and talk about DDP. Before I start, I would like to thank Mark and Matt for making this webinar happen, of course. I would like to thank to all our guests as well. I would like to say at the beginning that I'm very proud to have a Digistore as our premier reseller for Australia, as their knowledge in audio, video and graphics is second to none. I'm sure that our relationship will be a very positive one, and we hope that the people who will benefit most from this partnership will be the customers who can take advantage of our combined experience. In the next 40-50 minutes, I hope I will be able to give you some useful insights into storage options, and I hope we will all learn something more about what is DDP all about. The first part of this webinar will be some maybe 15 minutes of PowerPoint presentation, and second part will be hands-on demo of DDP. I hope this will be eye-opening for anyone who is interested in knowing more about shared storage, as DDP is packed up with some of the most advanced technologies available today. Those developments are why we have been chosen as one of the top 10 most innovative technologies by International Association of Broadcast Manufacturers. At the beginning, I just would like to say a few things about the company. ARIS Technologies are based in the Netherlands, and they are manufacturers of DDP. ARIS began in 2001, working as developers for Lin Audio, Behringers, and few others. Before becoming ARIS Technologies, the company was called Augen Instruments, which made one of the first audio recorder editors at the time. The first DDP product was brought to market at the end of 2006, and I was the first distributor of DDP in the United Kingdom at that time. DDP was first sold in Asia, in Japan, in 2010. So it is just over 3 years since we sold our first unit in Asian market. Since then, our Asia and Pacific office based in Japan has had great success, selling hundreds of DDPs. With today's presentation, we are officially entering into the Australian market for the first time. For me, this is exciting move forward, as I believe we have the most advanced storage product on market today. But let my demo convince you about that one. Okay, so I'm gonna start running a presentation now. And the first question is, why do we need a shared storage? In smaller companies, like a 4 or 5 people companies, usually we use USB drives or FireWire, or even drives with a Thunderbolt connection. In that case, when video files or large amounts of data needs to be shared among other users, files needs to be copied, and this takes valuable time. Another way is to unplug this little pocket drive and connect to another workstation and use it that way. Usually you find that those drives, they don't have any kind of data protection, as those little pocket drives, they have for example, either 1 or 2 drives and only one single power supply. But we know very well what happens when hard drive gets broken, right? All data is lost, and all work is done. So they all computer and Linux computers can be connected at the same time. With DDP in particular, everyone can read and everyone can write at the same time, and to any drives. We don't have any restrictions related to the bandwidth. Bandwidth on a DDP can be as high as possible. What is the advantage of this collaboration? Well, basically, if you have for instance, in this diagram, which is a real actually system which we installed last year in Hong Kong, the customer using ingest, such as tools are there, and number fin. While they're ingesting, they can also start editing. Okay, and if they're ingesting, in example, DNX HD or ProRes, even if it's ingested on a Mac, because of our shared storage, PC can open the same file and can start editing. Okay, your data is protected all the time, so even if hard drive or power supply goes down, you are still safe. This system in particular has 2 heads. So if, let's say, one processor goes down or Ethernet card goes down, another head takes over. Okay, so this is actually TV channel, and they have 16 AVIDs, I guess, over 50 users. They use Autodesk as well, Flame. On a Mac, they have a Smoke, and they have lots of audio systems such as Pro Tools, Digital Performer, and so on. Okay. So what is different in comparison DDP to any other shared storage? The first is that DDP uses Ethernet. Okay, Ethernet can be 1 gig or 10 gig. We can use actually 2 Ethernet cables, either 1 or 10 gig, and we also have a in testing at the moment 40 gigs as well. DDP is extremely fast. It's faster than any other Ethernet-based SAN, and of course up to 3 times faster than any NAS storage. We have a support for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Unlimited project and file sharing, which means you can open Final Cut Pro on one machine. You do not need to set up the users or projects and open same project to another machine. For example, just like a fine tuning or adding the text. And if someone would like to try to save the project, you will have a warning message saying, hey, this project has been edited externally, would you like to save as, and so on. And the same project mechanism we have for Avid. On Avid we have a same mechanism as ISIS, so we have a colored bin locking. And again, there's no need to set up the users or project. If I have a time, I will be able to show you both of those as well. Because DDP is very uses only Ethernet, and because we have a metadata built in our AVFS, we use only one cable, unlike traditional SAN system. But I'm gonna go about that one a little bit later. And of course, all technology is owned by us developers, so it's very inexpensive to the end user, which is quite important. Okay. So product range. Okay, we have a product range. We call it 5 series. This is actually nothing to do with the BMW 5 series. Okay, so don't get confused about that one. The first series are standalone series. Okay, so they have everything built in. Okay, so storage is in a box, server is in a box, metadata. The only thing what you need to do is to plug your Ethernet cable from your PC or Mac or Linux directly to the DDP. Of course, you can put 10 gigabit cards. You can put multiple of them. You can connect via the switch. So, for example, you could use, let's say, 20 machines. You plug to 24-port switch, and then 1 or 2 10 gigabit uplink can go to one of those boxes. Each of those boxes, they have obviously redundant drives. We usually set up everything in RAID 5 or RAID 6. We can set it up with a hot spare as well. And every unit comes with a cold spare drive. So we give you spare drives as well with every unit of ours. Other series are micro DDP. They're like a 1U, and they have 2 SSD drives. They're very portable, very light. I think around 2.5–3 kilograms. And I think they don't have any fans. Then another one's a mini DDP. They comes with either SSD drives or 2.5-inch SATA. We can mix also SATA and SSD in the same box. So, or we can even provide you with only SSDs. So, for instance, if you're working on in a high res with let's say 10-bit uncompressed or 2K, 4K DPX files, you could get, for instance, 8 SSD drives, and other ones you could use for so-called offline with the 2.5 SATA drives. Then we have something what we call fully redundant series or non-redundant series. Non-redundant series, it means you have a one head, okay, and then you can have multiple boxes. Those boxes are JBOD boxes. You can add them as time goes by. Okay, we use a SAS RAID controllers, so those boxes are also they come with a SAS and they're fully redundant. But if, for instance, if one head breaks down, you have to call engineer, right? So what we have a system that we can include 2 heads. So both of those heads are switched on. So if one head fails down, another one takes over, and your data is always safe. Even if you have only one head and you're waiting for engineer, your data is always safe because the database and your files are on a JBOD boxes. Those JBOD boxes are all 6G, and we have a new JBOD box which we announced actually last year with the 60 drives. At the moment, capacity I think is 4.2 petabytes, the largest system available, and we have something which complements our other series, which is mirror DDP. We use them for nearline. So They use the green drives. Those we can synchronize from data from your online system to your offline system. This, of course, can be scheduled backup. You can back it up on the items which you would like to do it, certain folders, and so on. So just like a little bit summary on this one. We have a units from, let's say, 4 drives up to like a huge systems. Okay, it's over hundreds of different combinations for every company and every budget. So if your company have like a 4 or 5 clients, we have a unit for you. If company has over hundreds, we have a box for you as well. Okay. You can connect via 1 gigabit, 10 gigabit, and 40 gigabit. Okay. We have in testing RJ45 10 gigs. Those cards are overheating at the moment, but we are talking to manufacturers about that one. We use CX4 or SFP Plus or RJ45 connections. Systems are fully scalable, so you could buy the box with, let's say, 16 terabytes, and then you can add the JBOD via SAS connector. To single SAS connector, you could plug 6 additional boxes, and as soon as you plug the additional box, you get extra capacity, but also you get the extra bandwidth. I mentioned it's up to 4.2 petabytes online. I personally never sold one of those. I wish and hope it comes soon. And important to mention is that we have a free and unlimited licenses. This means if you have a if you buy let's say 4 or 5 Macs today, and in December you buy a couple of new Mac Pros, you know, you can just plug them in and they're all working. You don't have to pay the license for it. Okay. I would like to say just like a few things related to SAN versus NAS. Usually, in related to the shared storage, we have two kinds of shared storage. We have a NAS, network attached storage, and SAN. SAN storage are usually fiber channel systems, and NAS storage are obviously Ethernet based. Okay, every single one has advantage and disadvantage. So, for example, the NAS storage is good because they use Ethernet connectivity. It's very simple to install, and it's cheap. Okay, which is in most cases quite useful, right? With the fiber channel systems, usually those ones are always expensive. But advantage of this system is that they're fast. So obviously you pay the price for the fast system. The disadvantage, apart of the cost, is that usually you have 2 networks. One for your metadata. So you remember Exxon, of course. You have a server for your metadata, and then you have your storage for your data. So in that case, you do have to get like a administrator who knows how things are going and so on. The DDP is actually SAN over the Ethernet. So what we do with the appropriate interface, i.e., example 10 gigabit or dual 10 gigabit, we are even faster than fiber channel. But we also use RJ45 Ethernet. So with DDP, you get the speed of the typical fiber channel systems, but simplicity of the NAS. And of course, because technology is made by us and we use Ethernet connectivity only exclusively, the system is related to price is equivalent to the NAS systems. So I guess you would like to try this SAN system of ours, right? So let's just mention traditional SAN setup like an Exxon, for instance. So we have like a metadata controller, then Ethernet network connected to your PC or Mac, and fiber channel. Of course, if you have an iMac or if you have a laptop, you cannot do that. With the DDP SAN setup, everything goes over the Ethernet, as I said, either 1 gig or 10 gig. Okay, so it's very simple to install, very simple to maintain, and so on. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. Okay, so what makes ultimate shared storage? Okay, performance. Performance is most important thing. Okay, it's a not big problem when you have 4 or 5 clients when you use NAS systems, but when you have, let's say, 10 clients, your system starts slowing down, and that is because of the overhead on a NAS file system. With DDP, we don't have that, and that's why we have a performance. We have a workload management and project sharing. Okay, system ultimate shared storage should be simple to install and maintain, and of course, we like it to be inexpensive. So let me talk about DDP. Okay, so this is DDP graphical user interface. I will go in the details about this in a second, but it's a web browser you can access from your Safari, Explorer, Chrome, and so on. This is your connection window. Okay, so you can see those blue monitors. Okay, that is your computers. On the right hand side are your hard drives, so you just have to drag the line and you get the connectivity. Okay, I mentioned that we are faster than even fiber channel system. So this is like some speed test which we done like before, and we can get actually over 100 megabytes per second with using the Ethernet cable. Some of the NAS system, they can get like a 50, 60, 70, 80, but again, please remember, speed test is one thing, but when you push real data and when you connect dozens of computers, your system goes down, okay, related to the speed. So with the DDP, with the Sun system, you can always guarantee those kind of performance as long as you have enough bandwidth. With the NAS system, you cannot do that. We can also utilize 2 Ethernet cables. So, example, your Mac Pro or let's say Z400 with 2 Ethernet cables, or Z800 or any other PC with the extra add-on cards with the 2 Ethernet cables. We can push up to like around 200 megabytes per second, which is useful for even 10-bit uncompressed high definition. And of course, with 10 gig, we can go up to the theoretical speed of the cable. With 1 gigabit, we can push also 500 tracks of audio at 48 kilohertz 24-bit. We work equally well on a PC, Mac, and Linux, and with all applications available, because DDP drives are presented as our local drives. Okay, we have something what we call workload manager. Okay, usually companies, they have to connect via LDAP to Active or Open Directory to set the permissions on the folders. We have this application for free, and I'm gonna show you this a little bit in the details, but this is the application which we are also gonna offer for free to all clients of Digistore. We have I mentioned earlier, project sharing. So those are the couple of screenshots of the Final Cut, Edius, Avid Media Composer. There's no need for set up the users or projects. Okay, system automatically recognize who has the ownership and who was the who connected to who opened the same project at latest. This feature is free and available with every DDP. Okay. For audio post, we used to be developer partners for Pro Tools. We used to be in their catalog as well. Then they found out that our system works better than ISIS. They kick us out from the magazine, but that's not so important. Okay, it's important that unit works well, and that we can connect even to any other shared storage. So if your if your facility already have such a shared storage, we can connect it without any issues. We have Archive built in with this new version 3. It's Archive version 5, and you can connect LTO single drive directly on the back of DDP, You can use unlimited number of the tapes. You can extend your license to tape library, and you can also extend license to synchronize or archive. The software is inside. Okay, so you don't have to install the software. It's inside. You just have to enter the serial number. Okay. Every mirror DDP comes also with this application and synchronized application as a part of it. Okay. Of course, I will try to prove that DDP is the fastest shared storage you ever saw, but the speed without control doesn't mean much, right? With DDP, we have something we call bandwidth limit, and no fiber channel SAN system, none of them can do this. So we can do that, and what is good thing about this is that we can limit read and write speed separately, which means if your Ethernet cable has a speed of, let's say, 100 megabytes per second, and you have to copy some files from your FireWire drive to DDP in order that everyone can share the data and so on, we can limit that write speed to, let's say, 20 or 30 megabytes, but at the same time, you can edit a couple of streams of ProRes or DNX HD and so on. Okay. So is DDP future-proof? Well, any DDP of FreeU or higher is expandable in capacity and bandwidth. You can change the drives, you can add additional arrays and so on. The hardware components are of the standard off the shelf. So even if your unit is out of the warranty, you can change it. It will work. Okay. The software is fully owned and continuously adapted and developed further, which means it's owned by developers of DDP, okay? And the company is owned by the developers. It's profitable and with no external ties, which means we don't depend on anyone, and we think we have the best system on the market today. DDP is simple to install, maintain, and operate. It's a full unlimited project and file level sharing for all operating systems. Extreme performance. We can be with the right interfaces 2 to 3 times faster than any competition. It's easy to expand, inexpensive, but most important thing it is that it works. Okay. This is some of the clients, and I think I'm gonna jump and do a little demo for you. Okay, so I'm gonna quit PowerPoint, and I'm gonna move this a little bit down. Okay, so I hope you all see the GUI now. All right, so I'm gonna go to the interface and just quickly try to run a couple of the buttons. Okay, let's start from this box on the left. Okay, those items here, you can see there's some IP addresses. They're the NICs, the network connections on the DDP. Okay, so we can measure the speed of every DDP, every NIC. We can measure the network, the volume group, and total disk. What is volume group? Let's say you have a unit with 16 drives, and you would like to buy another one. We can make it as a separate volume group, or we can make it as a one. If you make it as a separate volume group, example, you have this one here, volume group 1 and volume group 2. If you exceed the bandwidth of this one and you, let's say, start dropping the frames, this volume group will be ineffective. So that is about the volume group. So I'm not going to spend much time about each of those individual, but just like to get a as quick overview as possible. Event notification. If hard drive is broken or something like that, it's going to pop in. If you're doing some backup, defragmentation or volume check, message is going to pop up there. Bandwidth. So when I start running the some kind of speed test, they're going to show up here. I'm going to be able to measure the IOPS. But in this new version, we always could analyze the video streams. But now what we can do is, if I select example ProRes 422, and if I'm running on, let's say, machine edit 5, two free streams. It's gonna tell me on that particular NIC I have a free streams of ProRes. So not only that we can measure the bandwidth, but we can actually analyze the stream, right? I don't think that any company who makes the shared storage can do such a thing. Then on a right-hand side, it's your preview panel. Okay, it's a preview panel of your folder permissions. So, example, I have in total 3 drives. So, example, this Stone drive has some folders, and if I open each of those folders, if I select, example, FCP, I can see that all computers has a read, write, delete access. So those are the permissions on a folder level. I can set the permissions on a desktop computer level, on a groups, and on a user level, which I hope I'm going to have enough time to show you. Okay, the main panel is here. Okay, you can access it by always going to home button, or you have a shortcut menu here. So here it says operation, workload manager, system information settings. They're here. So you have operation, workload manager, system information. So if you click, you can go to any of those with ease. But I'm gonna go usually the long way so you can see how it goes. So connect and table view, that 2 buttons which allow us to connect it. So example, you can see that DDP win is connected to the Stone. It has a capacity of this. If I would like to add connection, I can just click. I can select what computer I would like to do it, select the volume, select the permissions. This is on a volume permission, on volume level. But I can go also to my connect window, or I can access it from here. So basically, you can see I have 2 connections. So this computer, which I have, is called MacBook Pro. So if I would like to connect it, I just have to drag the line from the left to one of those pins. So those pins, you can see they're in a different colors. So this color, it means you have a read, write, and delete option. The blue one is read, write, no delete, and red one is read only. Okay. So if everything is fine, the drive should appear here. You can see it is there, right? So I'm gonna disconnect, and look at that, amazing magic, right? Okay, so this is how easy it is to connect the computer. So as I mentioned earlier, you can have as many computers as you wish. You can have as many volumes as you wish. The idea is to work from one volume, because we can set the permission folders, set the folder permissions right, and on the fly as well. So let me go to another button, users. Here we can select the users. If you want to add a new user, just click it and just type, example, math password. I usually type 111 because I'm so good with the numbers. Make sure it's visible, and you click apply. What we also can do, we can say when Matt connects to the computer with his username and password, that example, the volume Stone automatically appear for him. Okay, so you don't need administrator to connect your system. Matt can just come by himself, put his credentials, and the drives with the folder rights, it will appear, and so on. But we know that we can also set up the permissions on a group level. So example, Matt can belong to the ingest group, okay? And ingest group, example, can have access to 3 drives with a different permissions. So Matt will in that case get the permissions from the ingest group, and of course the ones which administrator allocated to his own one. DDP volumes, this is the place where we create the drives. So it's very easy. You just hit the button create, you select the volume group, you select the file, format type, and so on. We can also select the format type as a none, and it means if you connect the drive to the PC, Mac, or Linux, it will let you initialize it just in the same way as when you plug the UFI or USB drive and so on. Okay. Then we have a folders profile. Profile is basically, let's say, for instance, I make some kind of connections like this and like that. Okay. I don't have actually this computer connected DDP 208, And if I go to my profile, I can create a snapshot of those connections. Okay, so in that case, if I declare all connections and connect it again, it will remember those settings which I had it earlier. Okay. So what else we have? We have a bandwidth limit. Okay. So we have a computers, and as I mentioned earlier, we can just like on a fly, we can resize this as long as we hit the button, edit, and so on. And this is very useful feature. Password, edit access. This is the place where we actually can create a permissions on a folder level. Okay, this is the application which we are going to give you for free. So example, what you do, you create a folder, you select the folder, click add. You can select the permissions on a computer level, on a group level, or on a user level. So example, I can go to Matt and I can say, hey Matt, you've been very good boy, so I'm not going to give you any permissions. And it means Matt, when he logs in, he cannot see, he cannot access this folder. Okay. But I'm going to delete this for the time being. Okay. Then what we have a connectivity to LDAP as well. So if you have a like external servers, you could do that. We have a function called folder volumes, and this is maybe one of the best functions for me in this new version 3. So I'm going to show you that in a moment. System information, event log, RAID check. Okay, uses active information about DDP. We can change icon size. Archive, this is the button where you access the archive. I have a very old version, by the way, on this one. It's a 4 version which comes with every DDP is 5 something already. So I think password is this. I'm not so sure. So let me check. But it's not logged in anyway. It's not. Yeah, so it's not. There's no license for it. But usually what will happen, it's Archive automatically recognize your LTOs. Okay, and once when you select it, you can create a job and you can say you want to back it up those files and so on. And as I mentioned before, you can update the license to the tape library and synchronize and archive as well. So I'm going to close this window now. Email notifications we have something really cool for the guys who love the DPX and so on, as well as users who use MOV and MXF. Example with DDP, we can pre-read stream. For some of you who don't know, Final Cut Pro, example, trigger the 1 frame in advance, which means when you press a spacebar in your Final Cut, as playhead is moving to the right, it reads the 1 frame in advance. Okay, but when you have a congestion in your network for any reason, or a little bit lower bandwidth, or if you have like a problem with the drives or something, Final Cut is very sensitive on drop frames. All right, because of doesn't have this pre-read function. So what we do actually, when you click this on, we pre-read around 15 frames for Final Cut Pro. So your Final Cut Pro will 100% less drop frames on our system than on any other one. Then we have the same thing for the image sequence. You know, image sequence, let's say DPX or Cineon or TIFF files, they're numbered. So in a 1 second you have 24 pictures, right? And they're all numbered files. So any of those 24 pictures, they goes all over the place on hard drives, right? Because hard drives, they're spinning all the time. So if you have a unit with 16 drives, you have to imagine you have like 16 heads. So the pictures, they goes all over the place. But when you hit the button pre-read of image sequences, what we do, we buffer the image sequence, which means in most of the cases, you can use a less powerful DDP than you would use, example, some NAS or even like a Sun system and so on. We have another thing called pre-allocation. Is let's say you want to smoke, you hit the button record. We scan the first frame resolution and we allocate the empty space for the second frame. So the computer DDP remembers the frames. So when you play it again next time, it's much easier and so on. So it's very, very cool technology. And I don't think that any of the competition have this kind of system. We have a defragmentation, which I never used so far, obviously because I did not have any of those issues. We have a time server. DDP can act as time server. It's very important for Avid Media Composer. So maybe I can show you that. So let me see. Example on my control panel. I can. I'm now on a 941. If I switch it off, let's set the time. You can see 7:41. If I click a button to select, it goes back straight away. So it's very important that your applications, especially Media Composer, AVDS, that they'll sync to the time server. Of course, you can use external time server, okay? But we have this thing as well for you. Network. This is your Ethernet connections which I have. You can see I have some 10 gigabit. I have some 1 gigabits as well. So I'm gonna go back to home button as well again. DNS gateway desktop. This is the place where we create a computer. So example, if you have like a new computer, so let's say I want to type new computer is called whatever. So edit math. Okay, I click apply. So if you go to your connect window, you will see the math is already there. So what you have to do, you just have to connect math to the drives. Yes. Let's see what else we have. Installers are available here, and we can connect to APC UPS. So you plug the UPS directly to DDP. If you have a shutdown in your facility, APC will send the information to DDP, and DDP will solve the shutdown, so you will not have any corruption of data and so on. You can access the rate cards as well directly from this interface, and we have something which is industry standard related to the monitoring of your IT infrastructure. Nagios is open source. You can get more or less any plugin available for this application. Check your network, check your switches, packet, who access what, and so on. Remote diagnostic for service connection. Every DDP comes with 2 years warranty, software updates. So we usually use that button. We're expecting very soon in one of the updates to have updates without requirements of the internet access, so that resellers, they can update the clients directly, and button for hopefully which you're never going to use for power down and restart. Okay, so I'm going to just I have like a few computers here, so I'm just going to show you something. So let me see. This is my computer. It's a very, very powerful one, and I'm just going to show you how fast is this thingy. This is Mac Mini. Okay, so it's not powerful as I mentioned. And the first thing what I'm going to do is to run a speed test. Okay, so I'm going to select the drive, which is called Stone, as you can see. I'm going to select the frame, select maybe 2 gig file, and I'm going to click start. So you can see that here on DDP interface, if I go to my computer back, which is somewhere here, let me just close this. So you can see that I'm pushing up to like 112 megabyte on a read and write. You can see it's read and written data, so that's why in different colors. And this going from my NIC, where is that NIC? This one here, 172.16.5.6. So I'm pushing over 110 megabyte per second. Okay, so if I go to my computer, which just done a test, and if I see this, you can see that I'm really, really fast on a Mac Mini. So this system, as it is, can run 4 or 5 streams of DNX 145 without any problems. Let's see if I have a performance. You can see it's a straight line, so there's no waveforms or anything like that. Okay. The other thing which I'm going to show you now is that we have a bandwidth limit. So let me use Blackmagic, because Blackmagic speed test can continuously run. So I'm going to select the same drive. You can see Stone is there. Select the folder. I'm going to hit the start, so you can see the speed is same. But I'm going to go to DDP GUI. So let me just go back to my interface. So I'm going to go to DDP GUI. And I'm going to go to read-write limiting. This is a new thing. I forgot to mention that this software which I'm using, it's alpha, it's not even beta, okay? So if something happened, don't kill me, please. So this computer, I think it's a DDP FPS. I'm going to click edit, and I'm going to set the bandwidth limit now. Okay, click apply. Let's see, will that work? Is that computer? So let me just go to this computer now, which is doing the speed test. So you can see that on the fly. So we can change the bandwidth limit. So as I mentioned earlier today, we can set it separately. So while you are writing, we can make it like a slower. So we give a low priority to copying from your FireWire drive and so on. And let me try to do from this computer. If I want to change this, so I'm going to select the computer. You can see read speed, write speed. So I'm going to select it, edit, and I'm going to just switch it off. Or let me see what would happen if I do this. I'm just testing at the same time now, which is a good thing to try. So so now should be something like a 4011. So let me see if that would be okay. So that is it. It's working on the fly. So that's very good. Before it wasn't on the fly, now it's, so I'm quite happy about that. Okay. So I'm going to close this window here, and I'm going to open another computer. On this computer, I have a Resolve. Let me see. Yeah, I have a drive connected to this, so it's a Stone. It's the same drive. I'm going to open this computer. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, it's a light because I'm so rich. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to open Resolve. Okay, so I'm going to select this folder, right? Okay, and I'm going to move some of the data here. Okay, sorry, let me select. Okay. So I'm going to drop some file, go to color. You have to remember that you might lose audio or video because I'm running 3-4 computers at the same time. So I'm going to press a play. I'm going to go to my, I'm going to go to 24 frames. Okay, I'm going to go to my system here, and you will see that I'm pushing around 800 megabytes per second. Okay. On this system, this is Z800 with the XT680. I have a 210 gigabit. So basically, this we call multiple connection per session. So I can push actually up to 4K uncompressed 10 bit. Okay, so this one here, this machine here, it's actually, I'm playing ultra high definition 4K in real time, as you can see. Okay, so I'm going to stop that now and move it down. And I have one more computer to show you, and that is this one here. This one is very, very old computer. All right, so this one has also same drive. Okay, so this is XW8400. I think it's 6-year-old, and we have a inside what's his name? We have an Intel card. So on 6-year-old computer with a dual Ethernet cable, I'm showing you I'm running 200 megabytes per second on a DDP drive. Okay, So I will show you that that is coming from DDP. So let's see. So that coming from. Okay, so you can see that I'm using Ethernet 4 and Ethernet 5, and I'm equally recording. I'm using both of those around 110, 11 megabytes per second, which is great. All right, so we know now that DDP is very fast, that the same volume can be shared with the multiple PC, Mac, and Linux, which I don't have here, unfortunately. I will show you maybe a few more things. Let me see. Let me see the folder permissions, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. So what I could do it, I will select the folder called FCP. I'm gonna add computer DDP FPS. This is the on a computer level. I'm gonna set permission, and I'm gonna say this computer does not have access to this folder. Okay, so basically computer DDP FPS cannot access this folder, so I'm going to go to that computer. I'm using Apple Remote Desktop, by the way, for this, which you obviously noticed, right? So here we go. This is it. Okay, so I'm now going to go to my let me do this. I'm going to change permission to Final Cut Pro X. I'm going to select the same computer FPS, and I'm going to say you cannot write, you cannot read, but you can write to it. So in that case, you will have a drop box. So let's see, does it work? And of course it works. So basically, if you would like to move any file inside, it will say to you, you can put the items, but you won't be able to see it, and they want to continue, and that blah blah blah, and which is okay. We also can change permission. To example, read, write, no delete. So you can read and write to it, but you cannot delete. Okay, so we have all those kind of things. So when you update those permissions, they pop into on the right hand side. So this panel here gives you instant overview of permission on a desktop level, group level, and a user level. I will show you two more little things, very short, because I know we are tight with the time. So let me show you on this example. So example, I'm going to go to the connect window, and to this FPS, I'm going to connect one more volume. Okay, and this volume is called the dry one. Okay, so let me see, it's there. So there's a volume. Let me close this because we don't need it. So normally in a shared storage environment, what happens? People have a multiple drives, or if you have a media composers, you usually have a different drives because of the media spaces and so on. And what happens if you wanna move some files across? You're actually copying them, right? And copying, it takes the extra space, bandwidth, and so on. The thing is, sometimes you don't want to give allocation to this drive stone, in this case, to the user. That's why you want to copy. But we have something we called folder volumes, okay? So I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so this is new in version 3 as well. So I'm going to go to folder volumes, and you can see there are the free drives, and there are the drives which are currently created. I'm going to select this drive. I'm going to hit the create, and I'm going to go on a I'm going to see the folders there, and I'm going to say on this folder, let's call the media. I'm going to create a volume name media. I'm going to click apply. Okay. Open this little arrow and select it. Okay, make it visible. Okay. So what happened now? If I go to my connect window, you will see that I have also media drive. How that comes, right? So if I connect, let's say, this media drive to the DDP FPS, the drive will appear there. Let me see if I can connect on my MacBook as well. Maybe I can show you that way. It's easier. Okay. So look at this now. This is our main drive, okay? And media, I guess is this one, right? Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so this is our folder, but we show you as a drive, right? So if you in a normal shared environment, other companies, they would do this, right? And they would copy. Copying, as I mentioned earlier, takes the time, takes the bandwidth, okay, takes the space, okay. But if I would move those this file example just like this, look what happened. It instantly appears there. I'm not copying the data because I'm administrator. I can do that, right? So I can do this, right? The advantage of this system is if you have a MAM system, you're managing only your main drive, okay? You're managing this drive. Also, if you have like a backup utility such as Archive, which we have built inside of DDP, you're managing only this drive, okay? So it's so much simpler to work on this stuff. But we have one more thing, okay? So if I go here, we have something we call quota, okay? So we know that Stone has a partition of the drive. So let me just resize this window a little bit for you. So we can allocate a quota to the user. We can say this user can use up to 70% or 50%, and then email will come back to me as administrator. And while even he ingesting into his folder, I can expand his folder, okay, on the fly. And this is great. So we are working on DDP. We are working on a one main volume with the folder volumes, and folder volumes we can expand, shrink, and resize on the fly. There's no point of having a volumes resizing like some system. I mean, yeah, that's good for them, but it's not good enough for us. All right. So this is much more advanced system. This is like a so much ahead of anyone else and so on. You know, I mentioned a little bit earlier, NAS versus SAN. Disadvantage of example, our SAN with some NAS system that you have to install the driver. Yeah, that's very difficult, right? No, not really. But the benefits of you is that you get a bandwidth limit, you get a full quality control of the service, and you get a guaranteed performance by installing the driver. Of course, in large organizations, you have something you always would like to access with your laptop, or some freelance company would like to log some data and so on. For them, yes, you can still access DDP drives as a NAS drives. So you get the best of both worlds. You don't have to install the driver. And the good thing about this is this workflow manager, which I showed you a little bit earlier, it works on a NAS drives. So if Matt had the permission that he cannot access certain folders in Stone, when Matt logs into his storage, he will not be able to do so. So you can see, here we go, I got the NAS drive, I got the SAN. For this guy, I don't need to install the driver. There's no guaranteed performance because NAS file system cannot give you that. Whoever said that to you is lying. With the SAN drive, guaranteed performance, quality of the service. And with this last feature, I think I would like to wrap it up, because now it's already 10 o'clock, and I would like to thank everyone for coming. And obviously we have a little bit time maybe for Q&A. Matt?
Thank you very much, Elvin,
yes.
for the thorough hands-on demonstration of the product. So we've reached the end of the time here now. So look, what I'm going to do is encourage everyone who wants to see or know more to contact us. We can always arrange a hands-on demo at our facility in Artarmon. We have all your questions logged, so we will come back to you separately
Okay.
between both Elvin and myself. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
please come on in and book a time with us to see the product in even more detail. We will be doing a free workflow consultation, which is to the value of $693, where we will scope out your requirements and come back to you with a proposed solution. As we flagged before, up until the 31st of January, we'll be throwing in Workflow Manager. And now you know all that. Now you guys know what that is, for free if you purchase by the 31st of January, and that's worth just over $3,000. So either give myself a call or send me an email or talk to your account manager with regards to booking something in. Once again, thanks to Elvin, and thank you to all attendees for spending the time with us this morning.
Okay, thank you.